of the game. For the love of the game.
Welcome to another edition of For the Love of the Game. This week, we're going to find out about the Combine. This Combine was one of the most special events for girls basketball that's available here in Virginia, and I am dying to hear how it went. Coach Fowler, how'd that Combine go?
Man, it went a lot better than what I was thinking. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is a new avenue for us. But yeah, man, it turned out great.
Amen, amen. Now, was there anyone really special that really kind of stood out for you where you were like, whoa? Did you ever have any of those whoa moments?
Yeah, the whole time. I mean, I remember Chris Dotson walking over to me and saying, "Man, the talent here is crazy." So I mean, across the board, from the oldest kids we had 2027 to the youngest we had 2034. I mean, the talent was really solid, man. But I mean, there were a few that stood out. Um, you know, I I'll start with the MVPs. Of each of the division. We had three separate divisions, so we had the high school, then we had the middle school, and then we had the underclassmen, is what we called it. And those were the younger kids, 2032 to 2034. And we moved some things around. We adjusted. There were some 2032s and 2030 to 2034s that were a little more advanced, so we moved them up to the middle school. And then there were some middle schoolers that were a little bit more advanced, so we moved them up to the high school to play with the high school kids. Um, but in the high school division, it probably could have been a co-MVP situation. Um, you know, we didn't do it because, quite frankly, we didn't have enough plaques to do like a bunch of co-MVPs. We ended up having a co-MVP in the middle school because I could get a plaque for one of those later, one of those selections later. But the high school probably could have been Georgia Jones from Spotswood as well, but it ended up being Camilla Diamond from Skyline High School out of Front Royal.
Okay.
So she was the MVP there. I think it was probably 60-40 in the vote. Who should be the MVP? And it probably we probably could have convinced somebody to go 50-50 and could have went co-MVP between Camilla and Georgia. Um, and in the middle school, it ended up being um, Rain Wright, and she is out of Martinsburg, West Virginia.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly what school she goes to. And then it was Italy Fowler
Okay.
was the co-MVP as well. And I didn't have a vote in that one. I backed out. Vicky Bullitt backed out because Rain Wright was hers. And there was another girl kind of in the running for it. And one of the other coaches, I don't want to say who the other person was in the running because they didn't get it. They got all tournament team, or all combine team, but that coach stepped out, and then it ended up coming down to a few coaches kind of deciding, and we were able to do co MVP there because I could just get I can get Italy her award at a separate time, and I didn't feel comfortable like telling another kid, "Hey, I'll mail you one," you
Right,
know.
right.
So we were able to do a co MVP there. Um, so that one was a tough one, just because you know they both were moved up from the middle school to the high school. In the middle school, Italy kind of stood out over everybody, including Rain. And then in high school, they both kind of stood out, as like two seventh graders basically hanging with high school kids. And so I think everybody looked at it as like, wow, these are not eighth graders, eighth grade middle schoolers. These are seventh grade middle schoolers playing with the high school girls. Many of them already had Division III offers,
Wow.
and they're hanging with them. So I think that kind of stood out to the coaching. Then in the underclassmen, there were two girls that stood out. One of them made the all combine team, and then the other one, she was out of Norfolk, um, and her name was Lauren Williams, and she came all the way from Norfolk to to the combine, and I think the other girl would have easily gotten it if Lauren didn't show up. But I think it was, 10 out of 10. Everybody selected Lauren. She just stood out leaps and bounds in that age group. So solid players, man. But those were the MVPs of the combine, and all very worthy players, very solid players. And then we had then we had an all combine team, and there were other players that made that were really solid.
Okay. Now, for our listeners, y'all use a basketball term that it's one of only four, in my mind, is skipping. It's like four signature events or four noted events or
Ranked in review.
Rank and review events. Can you explain to our listeners what a rank and review event is?
So basically, it's where Prep Girl Hoops comes in, and they're kind of looking for the girls that they're going to include in their upcoming rankings. Who are the ranking climbers? In this area, I mean, John Orr, who was on our podcast last week, just posted he's posted two articles now on the combine, and the Her Hoop Dreams combine, and he talked about this area being untapped and there being some uh, talent that nobody knew about, undiscovered talent or whatever, and said undiscovered no more or something like that. So it's basically an opportunity to get in front of them, and an opportunity it's specifically designed, I guess you could say, to target girls that will be a part of their rankings, and be an opportunity to review players that could potentially be in the rankings.
Okay. Now, sometimes the coaches have opportunities to teach and talk to these kids, and you're seeing 4 or 5 coaches that you had invited there. Was there any special words of wisdom that kind of stuck out to you, where you were like, "Oh man, that was a golden nugget that I'll be able to take forward"?
Um, well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff. I'll give a shout out real quick, to the coaches that were there, and then I'll kind of answer your question. The one that stood out to me, because it kind of was solid, and I think nobody guessed where it was going. So I think that was good. But Vicky Bullitt was there, obviously. Actually, a lot of our former guests are some of the coaches that were there. But Basketball Hall of Fame, Vicky Bullitt, Eric Walker, who's a big hitter down in the Roanoke area, big basketball name, coaches at Smith Mountain Lake Christian Academy, but is a well-known basketball guy, in that area. He came up. He brought a lot of energy. Him and Vicky, actually. I mean, Vicky's personality. Those two were probably the loudest in the gym all day, including the kids. And he was very motivational, I will say. He just had that voice, and he had that demand, and very motivational with the girls or whatnot. Tanisha Bannister, who is actually the head boys coach, at Rocktown High School in Harrisonburg. Cornelius Sneed, we've had him on the show, and he's the athletic director and head girls basketball coach at Chatham Hall down in Chatham, Virginia. DJ Johnson, who is the assistant coach at Spotswood High School, assistant girls coach under Chris Dotson. Chris Dotson obviously was there as well. Was kind of the co-director. He handled actually putting the staff together for the most part. But he's the head girls coach at Spotswood. He was on our podcast, about 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. David Hinkle of Cornerstone Training, one of the more well-known and well-established trainers over in the Harrisonburg area, over on this side of the state.
Every week we feature an in-game basketball clip of a female baller. We take clips from AAU, public or private schools, wherever the hoopers are.
Send your basketball clips to AA Freshword on Instagram and Tony Speaks on Facebook, or you can leave your links in the comments of our YouTube page. That's it. I'm looking forward to seeing what you all can do.
Pee Wee Barber, So here's a story about Pee Wee. A little update for everybody that listens in, and Pee Wee had some issues going on, and I kind of was like, man, he went MIA. I haven't heard from him in so long, but it come to find out that he had a stent put in his heart.
Oh wow.
Um, so he's been out of commission for a little while, but we touched base before the combine, and he was like, I don't know how much I can do, but I do want to stop through. Well, then he wrote me the next morning and the day of the combine and said, um, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it.
Mm.
But then he popped up anyway, so he showed up, and he didn't stay. He didn't stay super long, but he did. He said he really wanted to stop by and show the girls some love and whatnot. And he was able to speak. Uh, you know, he told a short version of his story and kind of, you know, the message he was trying to establish was to um, surround yourself with the right people and make positive choices. Surround you with people that have similar goals and aspirations as you, which I think resonated well with the girls. They really were into that one. Um, then of course, my wife, Letitia Fowler, she kind of, held things together, check in and doing all of those things. And then she was able to come out and she kept the operations running because I refused to wear my earpiece that I was supposed to wear with the walkie-talkie system and all that. I kept pulling it out, and so I wasn't hearing anything that was going on. And so she kept the operations running in that regard because I just couldn't keep the thing in my ear. Man, it was irritating. And then I would try to keep my walkie-talkie on, and it kept we kept every time I'd be talking, that's when it would go off, and so I just cut it off, and then I'd forget to cut it back on. And so anyway, she kept that part of it going, and then William Ware, he actually had a daughter in the event, but he's a coach down in the Roanoke area. Him and Eric Walker were close, so Eric brought him up with him, and he did a phenomenal job as well. And then of course our media guys, Trey Scruggs, Travis Jones, and DJ Martin, they held the media side of it down.
Awesome.
And we had, John Orr from Prep Grow Hoops, and then we had Nick Field, who is from FDA, and he actually did a really good job focusing on the younger girls, which I thought was awesome because a lot of times scouts come in, they want to, immediately jump to the high school courts, but he did a really good job of hanging around the younger courts throughout the day. But to answer your question, and I think that's everybody. And man, I hope I didn't miss anybody because that would not be good. But to answer your question, so we're doing our closing thoughts, and everybody's going to the middle of the girls or whatever to do their closing thoughts, and here comes Cornelius with a chair in his hand, and he's just walking up with a chair under his arm, and he sets the chair down, and he asks one of the players, "Come sit in this chair." So everybody's kind of like, where's he going with this? The girl comes sit in the chair and he says, what is the most important part of this chair that allows her to be able to sit in it? And of course, and he says, you got three answers. And so he gave them all three answers. And first girl, I think, said the legs. Next girl said the back. And then the last girl said the seat. She can't sit down if there's no seat. The answer was the screws. If you don't have the screws, the chair is not going to operate. You're not going to be able to sit in the chair. And he says the smallest part of the chair is the most important part of the chair. It's the screws. And he says those are the small details. And the small details that we gave you guys today is what you need to take away from this. And he says, you still got to pay attention to the small details. Yeah, everybody looked at this chair and saw the bigger parts, the big picture, but nobody focused on the small details that held this thing together. And I thought, man, that was phenomenal, man. I mean, because my first reaction was the legs.
Right.
You don't have the legs. I mean, sit on the floor.
Right.
So that was my reaction as well, was just the legs. So I think that was probably the words of wisdom that stood out the most to me that I took away from it. But there were so many good things that people said, and the way they said it. I think they all contributed a lot, man. I mean, I don't think we could have had a better staff or better coaches and guest speakers. Ashley Mills was she actually wasn't even on the original list, man. She showed up and was willing to help out. She jumped right in and took a station, joined in on the station, and then two of Chris Dotson's players this year that are going to play, I think D2 or D3 ball next year. Elena Taylor and Libya Jackson Sweezy came and helped coach some of the younger teams, help coach some of the teams during the games at the combine. So,
Amen.
man, I want to make sure that I shout out everybody that helped, man, because everybody made it special and made it what it is. I mean, the feedback has been phenomenal. So, and I know a lot of it had to do with the personnel, the people that were there. So, I want to make sure I shout everybody out.
Make sure y'all like and subscribe for the love of the game with Tony and David.
When John Orr writes up his thing, do you think that there's a lot of college coaches that actually check out what he puts out? Correct?
Oh yeah, Prep Girls Hoops is one of the premier scouting services. So I mean, there's college coaches, all over their stuff.
That's good.
I'm a matter of fact, I would be. I mean, I would be willing to bet that 90% of the colleges in the country probably follow Prep Girl Hoops or prep, in some regard. And the thing is did John Orrs go straight to the front page of Prep Girl Hoops? No, but when you click Virginia, boom, it's the very first thing that you see.
Okay.
So I'm sure that the Virginia coaches are all over it at least, and the regional coaches around this region are all over the Virginia page. So yeah, I mean, college coaches definitely see that.
Right.
Now, John did kind of plug, hey, if y'all need help making a profile, reach out to me. I'll walk you through the steps because everybody should have a Prep Girl Hoops profile.
Oh, so I don't need to buy a subscription to get a profile?
No, the profile is free.
Oh snap! Oh
Yeah.
my goodness! That's the only reason why I asked.
but there's nothing that's gonna upset you more than when you get that text message that says, "Hey, Courtney, there's an article that mentions you in it on Prep Girl Hoops, and you're not a subscriber, and then you have to buy it just to see the article that they wrote about you." So.
Okay, all right. No, that's the only reason why I asked, because I was just wondering, do I need to buy a subscription I thought I had to buy a subscription to get a profile so that it would be get you a little more likely to get noticed.
No. Having a profile is great, and it's more helpful to the scouts because they already find your information. But no, it's free, so you can just go make your own. You can make a profile without subscribing.
Okay.
Lace up, Mike hot, for the love of the game. Yeah, we back on the spot. Yeah. Every week, new heat on the feed. Talk queens of the court, how they pay what we need. Logo at the art, crowd lean when they rise. You can hear in our voice how it still hits our live. Classic pics on the wall, sign box on the desk. We rewind every step, every cut, every flex. From the tunnel to the tip, it's the story in the crease. Every scuff on the toe, say the grind don't sleep. It's that kick of the week. We talk game, talk race, talk sneaks. From the paint to the top of the key. For the love of the game. That's me, this that kick of the week. She laced up, bro, history in these. Every stripe.
And I'm gonna be very vague about this because I'm not that close with the other family, and I don't want them to get mad at me. But I root for all kids, right?
Mhm.
And as I'm rooting for all kids, there's a really great player that is on my daughter's team that I was rooting for. And and they got the ball down to her, and I was like, barbecue chicken. I'm talking, and I don't say nothing negative. I'm just saying positive things. And I guess because I'm big and I'm loud, the referee, he was like making faces because the girl was doing so good. He was like, wow, look at that. Like he was making faces. And then he kind of looked to me and he said, you the dad? And I said, oh no. And he's in the middle of the game. And in the middle of the game, he's like, are you the dad? And I'm like, no, I'm not the dad. And then he's the referee at we call it Big Shots, right? And as he's the referee at Big Shots, in the middle of the game, he goes and says, you think she wants to play for Boo? Talk to me after the game. Talk to the parent. Hook me up with the parents. She need to play for Boo. So I guess he's like affiliated somehow, and he in the middle of the game, and then he was so excited about the player and trying to hook the player up with Boo that there was, and race is not important in this factor. I'm just giving a visual. There was a white woman that was walking past, and she wasn't even in the game, and she yelled at him. She said, "Stop talking to him and ref the game." And she just kind of kept on going. So I was like, wow, that was a new, while the refs seem cool, and I don't want to, I'm hoping he never, our podcast is still small at this age. I hope he never sees this because he seemed like a cool dude. Man, to start recruiting, like that was a new level of unprofessionalism to start recruiting for another AAU team while you are reffing two other AAU teams. That was a new one. I'd never seen that before. Like that was a new level right there. Yeah.
Welcome to the world of I guess circuit basketball, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it in the middle of a game, but I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. But the seventh grade Boo Williams team don't have any room right now. They had to let him know that.
Yeah.
We capped out at 10 players, man. We don't need no more right now. So,
I hear you. Well, she's 6'1", but
if someone leaves, we'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, the parents weren't saying that, so I want the parents to be.
Nah, it's all.
I don't want the parents to get indicted by all of that. But at the same time, it just was. It was a trip to see. It was something I'd never seen before. Now,
Vision. It's a brand, it's a bucket. Courtney, talk to him. Yeah. Logo range lights dimming up. First shot hit like a thunder shot. Net sing low in that echo box. Same form, same art, that more to drop. Head up, she don't never rush. Reschemes like she reading books. One fake, whole defense shook. Find the cutter that you overlook. High IQ in a small frame. Call out threats like she call names. Seize your trap from a mile away. Turn your scheme to a hallway lane. Court vision. She see the cut before you cut. Court vision. She drop a dime, then drop a jumper. Court vision. You think you there, she there first. Court vision. From the logo, make the whole crowd burst. Brain on the chest, that work. Court vision.
So when is your next combine? When you gonna hold another one?
So here's the thing, man, is I think like the last 3 or 4 places that we've been, the networking has blown up. I say that. And the last, 3 or 4 places we've been are now talking about, hey, we need this. Bring this here. Bring this here. So we are actively working on dates right now. And we're looking to take one to Roanoke, one to South Carolina, and one to Pennsylvania in the fall. So we're talking about between the dates of August and October. Okay. And most likely, I'm going to get with Coach Dotson. Most likely, we're gonna run another one in Harrisonburg again in the fall as well. So that's 4 of them coming up in the fall. We won't bump heads with Bruno's Elevate Your Game clinic, EYG clinic, and we won't bump heads with Rasheen's and SFP Strive for Perfection. We won't bump heads with their Elite 50-50. And I guess just to plug that, I think Elite 50-50 is August 1st and 2nd, and then EYG is September 23rd and 24th, I think. If that's a weekend, it's that weekend. Okay. Those are 2 of the other ranked and review events through Prep Girl Hoops that are in Virginia. So that would be 3 of the 4. And I think the other one's coming up as a tournament coming up this weekend. It's actual tournament that's being ran. That's a ranked and review.
Okay, that's good to know. My baby will be in middle school training at that time, but on the weekends there ain't no middle school training. So
there you go. Well, that's the thought process, is that it will be preseason, for high school kids, and it will be the weekend. So, most middle school programs aren't like, oh, you can't compete and stuff. I mean, there's very few middle school programs that are trying to put the clamps on the kids like that. So, it's at a time where there should be no major AAU stuff going on or anything like that. So, it's an opportunity during those months to hold them and not be restricted, because there were several players that just couldn't come because their AAU teams were playing this past
Right.
weekend. So we missed on a few talented players for that reason.
Right. Yeah, I especially after having to pay $150 for what is it called? Big hoops, big shots, whatever you
Big
call it.
shots. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
having to pay. I always mess with the police when I walk up in there.
Uh,
Policeman, I tell him, I walk up to him, I say, I just got robbed, and and he says, "Excuse me, sir," and I like $47 for this, you know what I'm saying? So, and they always take. I should stop that because there's gonna be one butthole cop that's gonna like be nasty with me, but they all laugh,
are
when I.
they even real cops, or are they big shots cops?
No, no, those Henrico, they Henrico.
Oh, Henrico has the real deal. Okay. When we were at Boo
Yeah,
Williams, I
yeah,
think he
yeah.
had his own security team there, and it was just security guys. I don't think it was the actual Hampton police.
Oh well, they had Henrico out there, and that's the only thing I like about going there is the Henrico Popo are pretty. They got at least 3 officers on there.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think the Henrico Center makes you um, hire law
yeah.
enforcement. So,
And then you have your Henrico security there as
oh, yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah. Yep.
which they not doing much. So
Let me see your wristband.
yeah. So they're not doing much, but yeah, we went all the way to the finals and we lost. Ironically, we lost to another a guest here. We lost to Greg Willis, and
Okay.
yeah, yeah, but he had his 8th grade team, and they none of them that he didn't have a center, but he was able to we were playing 8th graders, so they
Yeah.
were they were very skilled and very fast, and they were able to get us out of there in the last game. But it was a good experience. Courtney ran up the scoreboard and got 1 MVP out of 3 games. So
Okay.
and then Big Shots took the picture of her, and then they haven't posted it anywhere. You know what I'm
So
saying?
you got to go to Big Shots MVP.
Okay.
So there's a Big Shots got 12 different things, man. They got 12 different sites, but they have a Big Shots MVP. And
See?
you might want to look on X.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
where we found Italy's MVP when she got MVP with Big Shots.
See,
Uh,
that's what's so helpful about learning from you, man.
yeah.
So,
So that's where you'll probably have to pull it from. So on X, there's Big Shots MVPs or something like that is what it's
I'm gonna do
called.
that right after this. Right after this, what you call it, man. So we also share some. I'm gonna spill some tea with you, and one of these guys actually I consider a friend. But I kind of let him know. I said, hey, listen, man, I got to come to you with 2 different hats. I got to come to you with Tony the entrepreneur hat, and then I got to come to you with Tony the dad hat, the agent of Courtney and Nadia. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So one of these guys is a hat, and he actually will listen to this podcast because he's a good guy, and he's one of our listeners. But I'll say something that you would never know about because this is something that you would never do anyway. So Coach Fowler, uh, just so you know, a lot of the best trainers in the Richmond area charge around $25 an hour, right?
Hmm.
There's a new thing where there's a new group of trainers now who are charging $55 an hour for one kid.
Listen, to do YouTube training is basically what it is. 'Cause that's where they get their stuff from. They go on YouTube, look up some drills, look up some things, and then come back out and do the same thing they just looked up on YouTube. No, thank you. I'll
So,
pass.
so I saw that. I was like, whoa, $55 an hour. Goodness gracious. So that made me step back and smack myself sometimes. I even told my friend, I told him I had to put on one hat as a friend, as an entrepreneur. I said, as an entrepreneur, And I know that's a tough question. So I'll ask you this question. This is a tough ethical question. If you know you can charge $55 and there are new parents who don't really know the landscape, who you could probably get maybe 5 to 10 people to pay $55 an hour. From an ethical standpoint, when someone is only paying $55 because they don't know any better, I guess my question is, from an ethical standpoint, is that right? You know?
No, because that's what the tournaments do at the door.
Right,
They're doing exactly the same thing. I can charge you $50 because I know you're going to pay it.
right,
It's the Puma circuit. It's the New Balance circuit. It's the $90 for the weekend is what I hear that Nike and some of these other ones we're gonna be paying here soon.
right,
$90 for the weekend. They charge it because they can get it. I don't feel comfortable with that. I can get more than $25. I just don't feel comfortable doing that, man. And that's not what I'm doing this for. Yeah, I'm I need to make something, and I am doing it to make something,
right,
but I'm also doing it because I want to provide experiences. And I want people to love the game, but um, no, man, that's not, that's unethical and it's disrespectful to the game of basketball. I'll tell you a story, that kind of goes with my analogy that I was just using. But there was a man that came through in Pennsylvania and he was complaining about the price because they had a decent sized family.
right.
And I cut his three kids out of it. I took
Oh,
three of the kids because he's like, man, we're not playing next year. We can't keep doing this. We can't keep paying this type of money and this and that. And I was thinking in my head, like, you haven't been anywhere really, have you? Because
right,
this is very inexpensive
right,
compared to, and they live in Pennsylvania. So I know y'all going to Spooky Nook at some point. So you better get used to it. Better get
right,
ready. But because he was saying that, I told him, I said, listen, man, I'm just going to charge you for you and your wife. I'm not going to charge you for any of your kids because I don't want you to pull your kid out of basketball because you think it's too expensive.
right,
And
right,
he was like, "Oh man, thank you, but no, I didn't really mean that." He felt horrible because I offered that to him. But that's what everybody should be doing. Like you don't want them to pull their kid
right,
because they can't afford it. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And my thing is the trainers are gonna do now what they can do. They're gonna get what they can get, but it's not that doesn't make it ethical. I mean that it's disrespectful to the game of basketball, and I think it's disrespectful to the game of basketball for the tournaments to charge what they charge and offer what they offer. And I think it's disrespectful to the game for trainers now to be charging $55 an hour. That's crazy, man.
right,
Um, you know, to train somebody. And again, they're most likely YouTube trainers. I mean, they probably, go to YouTube, find some, good training stuff from legit trainers who could charge that much, you
right.
know, and use that stuff. So that's disrespectful to the game.
Yeah, my buddy, he had me laughing though, because when I said, hey man, I said, and I said the name of a well-known trainer in the area
Hmm.
who is very esteemed in the area. I said, this trainer, and I said the name of the trainer. He's only charging $25 an hour. You know that, right? And then he said, for real? He says he's giving out that blue magic for free. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So,
I'm not even sure people like Phil Handy and Gannon Baker and people like that are charging $55 an hour for kids. I mean, I don't know what they charge, but I can't. And if they did, that would be justified. But I
right.
don't even think they're charging that.
Yeah.
So,
Now, your next event. When is your next event there, Coach Fowler?
we got a tournament this weekend. It's the fourth annual YFB Hooping for Hope Mental Health Matters. So it's our mental health tournament. So that's sold out. Over 60 something teams. Um, and just found out last night that we are not a YBOA program. We're a feeder to the YBOA Nationals.
Okay.
So I'm not like the Virginia YBOA director, but I am their affiliate, and I am the one that handles all of their stuff that goes through Virginia. But it's only because they don't have anybody. They don't have a YBOA director in Virginia. They want me to be the YBOA director for West Virginia and Virginia, maybe Maryland. I don't know if they got one there, but they want me to be that one there. But anyway, last night they told me that I was number 3 in volume for teams, and I have a significant amount lower tournaments than the 2 ahead of me. So, so I mean, I thought, Tisha was really excited about that. She was like, "Oh, number 3," and New York and Alabama are the only 2 ahead of me.
Oh, that's good.
And they have upwards of 17 tournaments a year or something like that, 17 to 20 tournaments a year.
Wow.
And I think we have 11. We had 11 this year,
Wow. Wow.
if even that. And we're number 3. So, and there's far more places that have more tournaments than us that are below us. But anyway, so I mean, we have over 60 teams. We're at EMU, Eastern Mennonite University, and Horizons Edge in Harrisonburg. Then May 30th, we're back at Eastern Mennonite University and Horizons Edge for our summer championship, and that's our Virginia finale. Usually that's our season finale, our year finale, but this year we're going to go to Memphis in June 13th and 14th, for the Bluff City showcase. So
Now I'll definitely cut this part out, but has an owner of a venue ever tried to cut you out and then just start hosting it themselves? Has that ever happened? Or they're just not that interested?
Horizons did early on, but I was doing it at EMU, and people would rather play at EMU than Horizons, so they were coming to mine anyway.
Okay.
They were coming to mine when I'd hold them at EMU and Horizons together,
Right.
because it's our tournament. But if they have a choice to go to EMU or Horizons, they always came to ours. And then when we picked up JMU, Horizons couldn't compete. So, um,
That
you know,
stopped that. That
yeah,
stopped
that stopped that cold turkey, man. And what
Okay.
ended up happening the one year that they tried to do that, is I was at EMU, and it was the Shamrock Showcase, and they were having a tournament at Horizons, and they ended up having like 6 teams registered.
Oh, wow.
And as they were getting closer, I sold out. I started to get to the point of sellout, and he called me and he's like, "Hey man, how many teams do you have for your tournament? Coming up?" And I told him, I said, "Man, we're getting ready to sell out." And I can't remember how many teams we had to sell. It was only 3 courts, so it wasn't a lot yet. It was at EMU, and I was like, "Yeah, we're getting ready to sell out." And he's like, "Man, we only have 6 over here." He's like, "What do you think about partner?" And I said, "It doesn't make financial sense to me." I said, "You got 6 teams. I have whatever amount I have. I'm not cutting you in for 6
Right.
teams." And he said, "All right, man. Well, we'll just throw in the towel, and I'll have my 6 teams, join your tournament, and we'll let you have Horizons if you want to get Horizons too." Well, that kept me from having to turn any teams away 3 or 4 weeks out. So I picked up Horizons, and that's where that all started. With me having the double facilities, because I
That's
never would do double facilities. That was the first time.
that's good.
So yeah, that was the time that tried to happen. And you don't have to cut that out, man. I mean,
Okay.
Horizons knows how I feel about them, and Nakaya is great, and I have a great relationship with her, and I'll continue that great relationship with her. But they've had so much turnover there, um, in the past. Having a relationship with Nakaya is, where my focus is.
That's good. That's
And
good.
she's the main person there right now anyway at Horizon. So
Now, the new personnel at Eastern Mennonite, that's not going to have a negative impact at all, or is that going to that's not changing anything? The new coach there and everything.
I don't know, man.
Okay.
I don't know. I know that I'm still the coach who has stepped down is still active in her role actively until the middle or end of May.
Uh-huh.
So I'm still working with that person, with that coach, until she leaves. And then when she leaves, she said that she would put me in touch with who I needed to be in touch with to continue the relationship. So I'm hoping that that relationship continues, because that people want to play there, people want to come there, they enjoy the campus, they enjoy the atmosphere and all that. So I'm hoping that we can keep that.
That's my favorite spot. Yeah, I mean, I really like that spot. I like the seating and everything. It's
Yeah,
really
the seating is nice, man. It's not
yeah.
those bleacher style seats.
Yeah. I really like it. Well, thanks again for sharing everything, Coach Fowler. When are you going to Memphis again?
June 13th and 14th.
June 13th and 14th. Okay,
Yep.
well, I got a little girl bothering me about that one. So, and now, is there any Virginia teams headed to Memphis?
So I can't remember what team it was, but I saw a team from the 757. And again, man, I cannot remember what team it was. When they put their schedules out and they post them on social media and whatnot, there was a team from that area that had the Memphis tournament on their schedule.
Okay,
And I didn't document it. Usually, as soon as I see somebody put us on the schedule, I pencil them in, and I reach back out to them later if we get close to selling out, or if, I need, hey, y'all I saw us on your schedule. You're gonna, register, something like that. But I didn't pencil them in, and I can't remember. So as of right now, that not I don't know. But we're getting ready to send another. We're getting ready to really start pushing that one because the May 30th ones, we're like 4 teams away from selling that one out.
okay.
And we're a month. We're almost. We're
June
just
13th and 14th.
Yeah, June 13th and 14th,
Okay.
um, in Memphis, Tennessee. So
Well, if you can remember, whenever you see that list again, if you
yeah,
could text me the 757 one, because I might, if they don't have a shooter, I might.
guest play.
Uh,
Be a guest player, huh?
yeah, yeah, we might actually do because my baby, and that way we kill two birds with one stone. And because here's the problem I have: no one else in the family wants to go to Memphis and see no daggone Graceland. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So Nadia don't want to see it. Mommy don't want to see it. And really,
man.
Daddy.
I'm telling you, it's an experience. They need to do it. I mean, we don't sit around listening to Elvis, but at the same time, man, it's a it's a place to check off. That
Yeah.
you've seen and you've been. I mean, it's talked about. It's famous. I mean, why not?
Yeah, yeah. Well, what you call it? Maybe maybe I'll take my baby there, and maybe she can come off the bench for somebody and hit some threes for somebody out there in the sixth and seventh grade teams.
Yeah,
But but yeah, man. Well, thanks for everything, and hopefully I'm working on some guests as well. Hopefully for next week,
okay.
and we'll put things together, and it's always great chopping it up with you, my brother.